There are cases where William Ruto uses a proxy to go and file a case so that he delays the formation of the IEBC. My theory is that William Ruto does not intend to have an election in 2027. He knows that he will lose that election. If you see the ground and how hostile the ground has been, including in his own home when they were doing public participation, you could see the sentiments from Kericho, Bomet, Nandi. He knows he's lost it. He knows if an election was held today, whether it's free or fair, even if he rigs, he cannot win that election because the margin will be so big. So I don't think he intends to have an election in 2027. I think probably he wants to buy time and either not have an election or pass this law that they've brought to Parliament for extension of term limits, or buy himself more time to finish off all his opponents so that in case there is an election in 2027, he garners like 98% of the vote, like the way it happens in Rwanda with Kagame. My thoughts are that we will never get to 2027. Kenyans are so impatient and very angry. You know, sometimes probably because people stay on X so much, they forget that there is a world out there and that there are people out there who also have feelings and they are expressing them on TikTok and on Facebook. I can tell you, Kenyans are very, very angry, extremely angry. And I don't think they will reach 2027. I even doubt that they'll finish 2024, but if they do, I don't think they'll finish 2025. These Kenyans are so angry that they are just waiting for one trigger. And once they get a trigger like this, they are going to explode because watu wako na hasira everywhere. I don't know a single person, even within my family, who is not angry with this regime. Not just disappointed, but extremely angry. So whatever he is planning for 2027, I don't even think he will get there. My worry is that if Kenyans explode, then it may also run out of control and somebody else may take advantage. That's why we must begin shaping the conversation this early.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next is the real Joe. The real Joe, I can see your internet is still connecting. Are you able to speak? All right. So, can I hear then from Fred Mokua?
Yes.
All right.
Fred.
Take it away. Yes. Sawa, Fred.
So, we are angry with this regime. We are angry with one.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Fred, we already have Mr. Fred Mokua speaking. You next, Fred.
So we are angry.
Sorry.
Kenyans are angry. 99% of Kenyans, we are angry with this government. So I don't feel whether we will reach 2027. We want William Ruto out of power. So yale mama ambayo ametufanyia kama hii nchi, we are not happy at all. So you give us hope, Mr. Morara, that we will not reach 2027 with this regime. I feel happy when I hear we are not going to reach 2027 with William Samoei Ruto. So what are the criteria, Morara, or techniques which we should use to ensure that this guy is out of power? We are angry. Most of the young generation of Kenyans, we are not happy with what William Ruto is doing to our country. So, can you give us, Morara, a good criteria? We want to see this guy out of power. Tumuondoe kabisa, tutafanya namna gani? Hawezi fanya nchi kama nchi yake. Kenya.
Thank you very much, Morara and team. It's a pleasure being on this platform. One thing I will have to commend everyone is the effort everyone is putting to make this group a success. It's going to be wise for us to be clever and ahead of everything we are doing, to know how frustrating the government is going to frustrate everyone who is going to fight for this particular cause. I know we are aware on how they have been trying to show some threats so that at least people do not come out, but everyone should have the courage to always stand up at any given time. The ground is boiling. The ground is boiling. It will not evaporate, but before it does, we will all be on the streets trying to reclaim what belongs to us. The threats are there, but kindly, wherever you are, Morara, I saw one of your posts whereby you somehow felt you were let down. I would like to encourage you to keep fighting. We were there with you, yes, but not physically. Some of us were held up doing other activities. But for those who have a chance to be together with you, kindly keep doing so. We will support you with whichever means we can if you cannot be there physically. But kindly, everyone else, please don't lose hope. The threats will be there. The threats will be piling. We will be set against each other like the rumor which was going on who was the mole and who was not the mole. Those are there to make sure that the group does not continue. We will be set against each other to fight each other, which we should. That's not our intention. Our intention to make sure that we fight for the good cause of the country, but not to harm any of us. Kindly, those who are in this platform, those who you speak with, kindly know Kenya is almost going to the dogs. We call it a banana republic. The laws being passed, they have majority in parliament, they have majority in both parliaments, so they can pass whatever laws they feel they can. They bought opposition, now the government can do whatever they want to do. There is no country, gentlemen. If you ask me, there is no country. And if you can have a good focus on the country, we don't have a country. The country belongs to one person who can do anything they feel they are comfortable doing. Healthcare is a mess. So even that we cannot get the right polio vaccine for our kids. Education is a mess, meaning we know in a few years' time we're not going to have the best brains like we already had in this country. Businesses are a mess. Taxes are also being introduced here and there, meaning there will be no money circulating in the market to frustrate us. In a way, we have to humble ourselves with the 1 bob, 2 bob we already have. Kenyans, it's time we get out. If someone of us says we can get to 2027, will we have the energy to get to 2027? I doubt. We are lucky enough we are approaching the end of this 2024. But if the few of us will get to the end of this year, appreciate and make sure that when the year clocks, we come back bigger and better. Valentine's, we want Morara to get to the State House.
Morara, space refresh kindly.
Morara, kindly, can you
do that?
Sorry for that.
Okay, Fred, just finish. Tutamsikia baadaye.
Sorry, I was saying I would like to see where 14th of February we have our first celebration as a country having good leadership, a new leadership in this country, which is Morara and team. Congratulations to all and thank you and have a good weekend for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Fred Polo. Indeed, you've pointed something that is very important, which is that when we fight amongst ourselves, none of us wins anything. In any case, all of us lose everything, because you are fighting for good governance, I am fighting for good governance, we are all fighting for an end to corruption, we are fighting for an end to tribalism, we are fighting an end to poor leadership and poor policies and bad health care and expensive education. We are fighting for the same thing. So if we fight each other just because maybe You want to show me that your ego is bigger than mine, and I want to show you that I also have one. At the end of the day, we both lose, and we make corrupt politicians very happy by fighting amongst ourselves. I believe we can do better, and we can do okay, but also, to avoid fights, let's stop provocation. Sometimes those fights begin because one person provokes another with things that are purely very insensitive or very disruptive or an insult. So when we do that, essentially, not everybody is soft, not everybody can ignore an insult. Others feel that lazima arudishe nipe nikupe. Then we end up having so many fights. The other thing we should know is that we are not all fighting for the same mission. We should know that we have enemies amongst us. And those enemies are not even in pseudo accounts. Some of them are even Twitter bigwigs. They are ex-bigwigs on X. They have thousands or millions of followers. We have enemies within. Remember, the state, if it can afford 104 billion for a healthcare system to steal the money, it means they can buy, people you never thought they can buy. And for that reason, there are people you trust as a source of truth, but they may be enemies within, to cause destruction or rather to just come and bring attacks so that you can fight each other. I will advise my friends and the rest of you that if someone attacks you, the best thing is ignore. But if you ignore so much and you realize that they are almost now cyberbullying you, of course it will now be important that you take action and you call them out. But otherwise, let us forge a united front. I believe we are beginning to be very disjointed and very disunited, and that is also because everybody has brought their political and financial interest. There is the interest of civil society groups, NGOs who are funding some ex-bigwigs to drive a particular agenda. There is the agenda of billionaires and state captors who have also recruited ex-bigwigs to also drive their agenda. There are people who are just driving their own agenda in their own right. There are others who are seeking good governance. There are others who are blogging for a particular politician. So don't trust everything that you see on social media. For example, some of the negative comments that you might see on your posts, some of them are not organic. They are not real people answering you. Some of them are just bloggers who each of them has registered probably 20, 30 accounts. You find one person with 20 accounts and maybe they're being paid by some politician to drive a certain narrative. So you find that whenever you say something that is good for Kenya, they are very dismissive. But we have to be strong. We have to develop a tough skin. Our fight is not a small fight. If you're going to fight corruption or bad governance, you should know that it is going to fight back. So if you have a light skin, it's going to get into you. TDJX always says that ships don't sink because they pass through water, but they sink when water passes through them. Therefore, it's not what is going around you that is the problem, but when what is going around you starts getting into you, that is when it becomes a problem. And sometimes I'm a human being. Sometimes I feel disappointed. Sometimes I feel disgusted. Sometimes I feel angry. Anger was put there by God. It's not Satan that put anger in human beings. It's God. God put anger in us so that we can be impatient with mediocrity. So sometimes I'm angry, but it doesn't mean that I don't have a clean heart or that I don't wish well. It is just because sometimes I don't like the direction that things take, and that is normal. Even you are entitled to be angry, but in all things, let's reason together and see whether we can pull forward so that even if we make one step backwards, we still make 3 steps forward so that we are making progress. Amazing. I guess I've given you guys direction.